Wait, before you panic about losing your citizenship, you need to hear this. I'm about to break down everything you need to know about this controversial new bill that has millions of Americans worried. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why this isn't as scary as it sounds. Hey everyone, welcome back to Dream Visa Updates. I'm Adrian Pandey, an immigration attorney who's spent the last decade navigating the complex world of US citizenship and immigration law. I used to work at the US Department of Justice in the Office of Immigration Litigation, so I've seen these issues from every angle. And today, we're diving deep into the Exclusive Citizenship Act of 2025, a bill that's causing serious concern across the country. Now, I know why you're here. You've probably heard the rumors, maybe seen the headlines, and you're wondering if the US government is really going to force you to choose between your American citizenship and your heritage. Well, stick with me, because what I'm about to share might actually put your mind at ease. Let me start by telling you exactly what this bill says. Senator Moreno from Ohio recently introduced legislation that would fundamentally change how dual citizenship works in America. Here's the deal. If you're a US citizen who also holds citizenship in another country, this bill gives you exactly 1 year to make a decision. You'd have to write to the US Secretary of State and formally renounce your foreign citizenship. Or if you'd rather keep your foreign citizenship, you could renounce your US citizenship through the Department of Homeland Security. But here's where it gets really intense. If you do nothing during that 1 year window, the bill says you automatically lose your US citizenship. Just like that. And it doesn't stop there. The bill also states that any US citizen who acquires foreign citizenship in the future would automatically give up their American citizenship the moment they become a citizen of another country. Now, I can already feel some of you getting nervous, and I totally understand why. America is a nation built by immigrants. Millions of Americans hold dual or even multiple citizenships. This bill sounds terrifying on the surface. But before you start making any drastic decisions, let me walk you through the massive problems with this legislation that make it extremely unlikely to ever become law. First up, let's talk about the practical impossibility of what this bill demands. Renouncing citizenship isn't like canceling a gym membership. Many countries around the world simply don't allow their citizens to give up their citizenship. Take Argentina, for example. If you were born there or your parents are from there, you might be stuck with that citizenship whether you want it or not. The country won't let you renounce it. And Argentina isn't alone. There are numerous countries with similar restrictions. So imagine this scenario. You're a loyal American citizen, born to Argentinian parents. This bill passes, and now you're supposed to renounce your Argentinian citizenship within a year, or lose your US citizenship. But Argentina says no, you can't renounce. What are you supposed to do? The bill doesn't answer this question. And here's another massive flaw. The bill says you'd renounce your foreign citizenship by writing a letter to the US Secretary of State. Think about that for a second. The US Secretary of State has absolutely zero authority over foreign governments. They can't make Argentina or Morocco or any other country recognize your renunciation. That power belongs to the authorities in those foreign countries. So essentially, this letter would be about as legally binding as the current oath of allegiance that naturalized citizens take. You know, the oath where people promise to give up foreign allegiances? Well, there's currently no legal requirement to actually renounce foreign citizenship after taking that oath, and it's hard to see how a letter would be any different. Now let's flip to the other side of this bill. What if you decide you'd rather keep your foreign citizenship and give up your American citizenship instead? The bill says you do this through the Department of Homeland Security. But here's the problem. Right now, US citizenship renunciation is handled exclusively by the State Department at US embassies and consulates abroad. It's a formal process with specific procedures. While there might be some obscure statute that technically allows DHS to handle renunciations, it's rarely been used. Can you imagine the chaos if DHS suddenly had to process potentially millions of citizenship renunciations? They'd need to create entirely new systems, train staff, develop protocols. The logistical nightmare alone makes this aspect of the bill seem almost laughable. But wait, it gets even more complicated. Let's talk about taxes. If millions of Americans suddenly lost their citizenship or formally renounced it, they'd potentially trigger what's called the exit tax. Without getting too deep into the weeds, US tax law treats high-income or high-net-worth individuals who give up their citizenship as if they sold all their assets on their last day as a citizen. Then it taxes those theoretical gains. Under this bill, anyone who does nothing during that one-year period would be deemed to have voluntarily relinquished their citizenship. That means potentially millions of Americans could suddenly owe massive exit taxes. The IRS would be drowning in paperwork, and citizens would be hit with unexpected tax bills. This isn't just an immigration issue anymore. It's a tax disaster waiting to happen. And here's the part that really made me raise my eyebrows. If this bill became law, it would directly affect the president's own family. Both the First Lady and the president's son hold dual citizenship. They're US and Slovenian citizens. So this legislation would require them to renounce their Slovenian citizenship. It's fascinating that a bill would be introduced that would immediately impact the president's family in such a personal way. But let me get to what I think is the most important issue here, the constitutional problem. There's a landmark Supreme Court case called Afroyim versus Rusk that establishes a critical principle. Congress cannot strip US citizenship away from a citizen. Citizenship can only be voluntarily relinquished. It has to be a genuine voluntary choice. The bill tries to get around this by claiming that doing nothing during that one-year period counts as a voluntary act. The argument would be that citizens had a choice, so whatever happens is their own decision. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't buy it. I don't think courts would buy it either. Being forced to choose between your citizenships under threat of automatically losing one isn't what anyone would call a voluntary act. This bill would almost certainly be challenged as a violation of constitutional rights under the 14th Amendment, based on the precedent set in Afroyim. So here's my bottom line after analyzing every angle of this legislation. I don't believe this bill in its current form will ever become law. There are too many legal problems, too many constitutional issues, and too many practical impossibilities. The legal challenges alone would tie this up in courts for years, and I strongly suspect it would ultimately be struck down. That said, I want to be clear about something important. While I don't think you need to panic about this specific bill, the fact that it exists at all is concerning. What worries me is that it reveals a fundamental misunderstanding in Congress about how citizenship actually works. The bill treats dual citizenship as if it's always a choice, but that's simply not true. You can become a dual citizen without ever taking any action whatsoever. Maybe your parents were traveling abroad when you were born, and boom, you have citizenship in that country just because of where you happen to be born. Or maybe one of your parents is from another country, and their country's laws automatically grant you citizenship through descent. You never asked for it, you never applied for it, but you have it. This is what makes bills like this so troubling. They could restrict American citizens' freedom to live their lives fully, to take certain jobs, to participate in certain opportunities, simply because of circumstances beyond their control. My real concern isn't that this specific bill will pass. It's that this represents a disturbing trend toward misunderstanding and potentially restricting the rights of millions of Americans who happen to have ties to other countries. So if you're watching this video feeling worried, take a deep breath. Based on everything I've shared with you today, this bill has virtually no chance of becoming law as written. The legal obstacles are insurmountable, the practical problems are enormous, and the constitutional issues are crystal clear. But stay informed, stay engaged. Bills like this show us that we need to educate our lawmakers about how citizenship really works and why dual citizenship isn't something to fear or eliminate. It's part of what makes America the diverse, dynamic nation it is. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want to stay updated on immigration news and legal analysis that cuts through the noise, Make sure you're subscribed to Dream Visa updates. Drop your questions or thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and your questions help me decide what topics to cover next. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, don't let fear drive your decisions. Let facts and knowledge guide you. I'll see you in the next video.